Next, the gibberellin helps to stimulate the cell elongation and cell division both. They help in the mitosis increase in the subapical region of the meristem. So, in the subapical region, the region just below the apical region of the meristematic tissue of the long day rosette plants, they help in the mitosis increase. That is, the large amount of mitotic division is seen in the subapical region. So this part is the apical region, this part is the subapical region, where there will be mitotic increase, like the mitotic cell division will be seen from 1 to many cells, 1 to 2 to 4 and that way. Okay, so this gibberellin helps in both cell division and cell elongation. Next is gibberellins may be covalently linked to sugars. I told you from in the very beginning that we have to study about the storage and the free form of the hormones also. So gibberellin either exist in the free form or they are combined with the sugar to form glycosides. Okay, so when gibberellin is conjugated with any sugar, usually glucose, they are attached to any sugar like glucose via a carboxyl group, forming gibberellin glycoside. Okay, so when gibberellin are attached to a sugar via a carboxyl group, then they form gibberellin glycoside, or when they are attached via the hydroxyl group to any sugar, they form gibberellin glycosyl ether. So hydroxyl group, attachment with the hydroxyl group, it will form ether, and attachment via the carboxyl group will form glycoside. And both ether and glycoside are the inactive forms of gibberellin, and they are the conjugated forms of gibberellin. They are the inactivated and conjugated forms of gibberellin. Okay, now glycosylation, therefore it represents another form of inactivation, and this process is reversible. They are metabolized back to free GAs, so they may be a temporary storage form of gibberellin. Okay, now it was seen that auxin helps in gibberellin biosynthesis. So see, I told that GA20 oxidase is an important enzyme for the formation of active gibberellin. Okay, so I tell you that GA4 is also active gibberellin, GA1 is also active gibberellin. Okay, GA4, GA9, GA1 are all active gibberellins. 1, 4, 9, 20, 19. Okay, and inactive ones are GA8, GA29. Okay, so see here that this auxin helps in activation of GA20 oxidase, as a result of which GA20 will be formed. Either GA9 or GA20 will be formed. In the last few slides we studied that the GA20 was formed. So GA20 will be formed, and this auxin also activates GA3 oxidase, which forms what? GA1, which we studied last. So GA1 or GA4 will be formed. Okay, and this GA1 or GA4 will form inactive gibberellin. So see, inactive also includes 34. Okay, so this GA2 oxidase, when it acts, it forms the inactive gibberellin, and auxin, see, this auxin inhibits this GA2 oxidase. So the pathway which forms inactive gibberellin is inhibited by auxin. So what does that mean? That auxin is helping in the GA biosynthesis, as it is activating the enzymes which forms active gibberellin, and it is inactivating the enzymes which form inactive gibberellin, which means that auxin helps in gibberellin biosynthesis. Okay, so see, GA response pathway, there is a negative feedback loop that it will inhibit GA20 oxidase. Once GA response pathway is on, there is a negative feedback loop which will inhibit GA20 oxidase, and it will also inhibit GA3 oxidase. So there is these two are the feedback loop. Okay, this one and this one, they are the feedback loops. Okay, so see, in this picture also it is explained that auxin helps in gibberellin biosynthesis. So see, IAA from the apical region promotes and is required for GA1 biosynthesis over here. Okay, so see, in this region when IAA is present, it will move down as it shows basipetal transport. IAA moves down, and here it helps in GA20 to GA1. Okay, GA20 to GA1 required which enzyme? It required GA3 oxidase. So see, here it activates. Here I am marking star, giving a star mark. So this star mark says that auxin is activating GA3 oxidase here. Okay, now GA20 to GA29, here I am writing plus sign. So the plus sign represents what? GA2 oxidase, and auxin is inhibiting GA2 oxidase. Here also GA1 to GA8, here also I am writing plus. So plus means GA2 oxidase, and auxin is inhibiting GA2 oxidase. So which directly means that auxin helps in GA biosynthesis. Okay, so auxin promotes GA biosynthesis by helping in the activation of some GA responsive enzymes. So gibberellin helps in cell division as well as cell elongation. Okay, so gibberellin helps in the cell wall extensibility. So cell elongation is due to cell wall extensibility. Due to the flexibility of cell wall only the cell will elongate. Okay, so as in case of auxin, we have seen that auxin shows cell wall acidification, but gibberellin does not show cell wall acidification. Okay, it was seen that gibberellin shows a different mechanism of cell elongation. So what is that mechanism? So it is also studied, and so was also seen that gibberellin is always present in tissues in the presence of auxin. So when auxin was completely absent, gibberellin was also absent. They are present in the presence of auxin. Okay, and effect of gibberellin on growth, it is dependent on auxin induced wall acidification. So what we studied, that auxin helps in cell elongation by acid growth hypothesis, but the cell wall elongation by gibberellin is not by acid growth hypothesis, but the cell elongation by gibberellin is dependent on auxin. Okay, so auxin shows cell acid growth hypothesis, and gibberellin, when auxin shows these kind of effect, gibberellin also shows their effect. Okay, so what is actually the mechanism of gibberellin cell wall loosening? So it was observed that gibberellin activates an enzyme known as Z. The full form is xyloglucan endotransglycosylase, which helps in gibberellin promoted cell wall extension. Okay, so gibberellin promotes the synthesis of Z enzyme. This Z enzyme, what it does, it helps to penetrate the expansion into the cell wall. Expansion, we remember. Expansion we studied in oxygen cell wall loosening, which weakens the hydrogen bond in the polysaccharide layer. Okay, so it helps in the Z helps in the penetration of expansion in cell wall. So what was the role of expansion? Expansion weakens the hydrogen bond in cell wall. As a result of what? The cell wall becomes flexible and extended. Okay. So both expansion and Z may be required for gibberellin stimulated cell elongation. So in summary, the cell elongation by auxin is by acid growth hypothesis, and gibberellin cell elongation is somewhat dependent on auxin. But it was believed that there is another enzyme named as Z which has been found to promote gibberellin promoted cell wall extension, and this Z helps in the penetration of expansion in the cell wall. So expansion role we all know, it weakens the hydrogen bond in the cell wall, as a result of which cell wall elongates. So both Z and expansins are required for gibberellin induced cell wall extension. Okay. Now gibberellin signaling pathway. Okay, so every signaling pathway is associated with receptor, ligand, then the activator or repressor. So let's start. So in gibberellin signaling pathway, what we see that the regulator or the repressor here is the DELA protein. Okay, the ligand is gibberellin and the receptor is GID1. Full form is GA insensitive dwarf 1, GID1. So let's know in detail a little bit about DELA proteins. DELA proteins, they are the nuclear proteins. They are present in the nucleus and they are the repressors. Since they are the repressors of gibberellic acid or gibberellin, they will show all the opposite effects what gibberellin shows. So gibberellin helps in seed germination, seed growth, flowering, and these DELA shows the reverse effect of gibberellin. They inhibit all these processes. Now why are they called DELA? Because at their N-terminal end they have D aspartate, E glutamine, L leucine and L glutamate, leucine and alanine. So that is why they are named as DELA. Now there are several targets of DELA proteins. One is PIF, phytochrome interacting factor, and another is prefoldin, which is molecular chaperone. So what happens? So this PIFs helps in the elongation. So they are the transcription factors which help in elongation. So when GAs are present, GA means gibberellin. So when GA are present, these DELAs are degraded and PIF can show the elongation. Okay, when GA is not present, DELA inhibits PIF. When GA is present, DELA cannot inhibit PIF and PIF can promote elongation. Now what is the role of prefoldin? Now DELA binds to prefoldin also. Now prefoldin functions in the cytosol, but when DELA binds to PFD, it is restricted to the nucleus. Normally the function shown by prefoldin is they work in the cytosol, but since DELA binds to PFD, they cannot come out of the nucleus. DELA are the nuclear proteins. DELA resides in the nucleus. When DELA are active, DELA will bind with PFD and will not allow PFD to come out into the cytosol. What is the main role of PFD? That it is assist in the folding of beta tubulin. Okay, beta tubulin helps in, like it's the cytoskeleton. So the main role of PFD is it helps in the folding of beta tubulin. Now look at this picture. When GA is absent, when gibberellin is absent, the receptor is inactive and DELA is active. When DELA is active, it will inhibit the transcription factor, it will inhibit pre-folding. Okay, but when GA is present, receptor is active and receptor will tag DELA with ubiquitin. Okay, so GID1 is also an F-box protein. Okay, see, F-box proteins means they can tag any protein with ubiquitin so that they will be degraded by 26S proteasome pathway. Okay, so if any protein is a F-box protein, that means they have the ability to tag other protein with ubiquitin and target that particular protein to proteasome. Okay, so this DELA will be inhibited. In that case, transcription factor is active and PFD is active. Okay, so release of transcription factor will allow the expression of GA responsive genes, so that GA response will be seen. Now this is again very important. So what we studied in the seed germination part, that GA enters into the alluron layer, but inside the alluron layer, what we studied, that GA enters the alluron layer. If you remember, from the embryo where it was produced, it enters the alluron layer. What happens inside the alluron layer is shown in this picture. So where was GA synthesized? GA was synthesized in the embryo. So instead of GA, I can write GA1 also, which is a bioactive form of gibberellin. So it is formed in embryo. Okay, and so once it is moving from the embryo to the alluron layer, what will happen? It will bind to the cell surface receptor, which is a GA receptor complex, which is a, and then this, it will bind to a GA receptor, then this complex will interact with a heterotrimeric G protein. Okay, this complex will interact with a heterotrimeric G protein. Okay, initiating two separate signal transductions. Okay, one is calcium independent pathway, this one, another is calcium dependent pathway. Okay, involving cyclic GMP. Okay, in the activation of signaling intermediate. Now the activated signaling intermediate binds to, see, there will be a signaling intermediate formed here. Now the activated signaling intermediate, it will bind to DELA repressor proteins. So once the intermediate binds to DELA repressor proteins, what will happen? The DELA will be degraded. So see, the intermediate when binds to DELA repressor, the DELA will be degraded. So when this GA signal, which is an intermediate in the pathway, okay, so after the activation of heterotrimeric protein, there will be an intermediate which will be activated. This intermediate, which was formed in response to GA signal, it will bind to DELA, and DELA will be degraded. Okay, then what will happen? The DELA which was inactivated, was degraded, because of which GAMYB gene will be activated. So repression is removed from the MYB gene. The gene is now activated, and this gene will show the transcription. It will show MYB mRNA. Okay, and the mRNA will synthesize protein in the cytoplasm. The protein will enter back into the nucleus. This protein will bind to the promoter site of the alpha amylase and other hydrolytic enzymes. Because what is happening in the alluron layer? That in response to GA, alpha amylase are produced. So once MYB protein enters, it binds to the promoter of several hydrolytic enzymes, including alpha amylase. After that, what happens? Alpha amylase gene will be transcribed and translated. Now, these alpha amylase and other hydrolyses are, when produced, they are synthesized on rough ER. So instead of synthesizing alpha amylase protein in the cytoplasm, alpha amylase proteins are synthesized in rough ER. Okay, now these proteins which are synthesized in rough ER, which are alpha amylase proteins, they are released or secreted via the Golgi. So by vesicular release, they are released via the Golgi to the outside of the alluron, and outside of the alluron is the endosperm. Okay, now this whole pathway requires the activation of, or requires the GA response. Now this last pathway, which is a secretory pathway, the secretory pathway requires GA stimulation via the calcium dependent, calmodulin dependent signal transduction pathway. So up to here, this pathway, the right side pathway, was calcium independent, but the release of this alpha amylase outside the cell is due to calcium dependent signal. Okay, it's due to calcium dependent, calcium calmodulin dependent signal transduction pathway. Okay, so ultimately what we see that, so if I summarize the steps here, so first was GA binds to the receptor. Okay, first that GA binds to the receptor. Then GA receptor complex will interact with the heterotrimeric protein. I am writing R for receptor. It will interact with heterotrimeric G protein. It will interact with G protein. Okay, after which two separate signals were seen, calcium independent and calcium dependent. Now in case of calcium dependent, independent one, when we start, in case of calcium independent, what we see next, that there is a activation of GA intermediate. GA signaling intermediate was activated. This signaling intermediate will, what it will do, this GA signaling intermediate, it binds to DELA. So DELA degradation, when this intermediate binds to DELA, DELA will be degraded, this one. So intermediate reaches the nucleus, and inside the nucleus what happens? First is binding with DELA. So DELA bind, I'm writing this together, DELA binding and degradation. Okay, so GA intermediate will bind to the DELA and it will degrade DELA. Next what happens? MIP gene expressed because the repression was removed. Okay, then what we see? MIP protein was formed, and MIP protein comes back to the nucleus and binds to the promoter gene. So MIP protein binds to the promoter of alpha amylase. Okay, in the next step what we see? Alpha amylase transcription. Okay, alpha amylase transcription, after which what we see? Alpha amylase translation. I'm writing here, alpha amylase translation on ER, on rough ER, rough ER, and the last step, the secretion via Golgi. Okay, protein secretion via Golgi. Number 10, these proteins are secreted via Golgi, and number 11, the secretory pathway. The secretory pathway requires, this secretory pathway requires what? It requires calcium calmodulin dependent signal transduction. Okay, this secretory pathway requires calcium calmodulin dependent signal transduction. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Thank you.